initiated a trade case then. We've heard some talk. There may be a WTO ruling as early as April. And so the U.S. government basically has concluded there has been a violation of international trade laws as a result of this illegal subsidization. I would assume that creates an unfair playing field for our domestic companies in competing with Airbus in that it allows them to offer lower prices since they are subsidized and then compete with our domestic companies, including a little small company called Boeing that has just a few employees in my district. Could you comment on that? Is that true? Does it give them the ability to offer lower prices and gives them an illegal and unwarranted leg up over our domestic manufacturers?
That's what we have alleged through our U.S. trade representative with the WTO, that there are launch subsidies across the Airbus products. And specifically, you mentioned the A330. I believe the estimate is $4 billion on that. They're supposed to come back with their final ruling sometime in spring, summer of 2008. So we have taken forward our information. This is being led by USTR, and we're waiting for the WTO to come back with their findings and ruling.
So if that is true, if our federal government has concluded that there has been an illegal subsidy, and if that allows Airbus to offer lower prices to undercut our potentially bidders of our domestic companies, and if we have just issued a contract by the administration for multiple billions of dollars for an absolute, pivotal part of our national security structures, which are our air tankers, rather than seeking or obtaining a domestic manufacturer, we will have given, or the administration will have given, a giant contract to a company that the same administration has concluded was violating international law and allowed this competitor with our domestic company to undercut on price. So haven't we turned over part of our national security to a company that we've determined was acting illegally and gives them a leg up in the contracting? And if so, how can we possibly justify that to American citizens?
Well, we'd have to go back and look at the Department of Defense's acquisition guidelines and criteria. My understanding is that they're very strict and very precise and very clear as to what they can consider and what they should not consider. I would recommend that we do that, because I'm not an expert on their guidelines, but my understanding is they follow those guidelines.
As Commerce Secretary, who I assume is diligent and jealously guarding our domestic employment situation, would you think that in our procurement policy we should take into consideration illegal subsidies of this nature that would have an illegal advantage of overseas competitors of this nature? Do you think we should consider that?
Well, I don't know when the last time we looked at the procurement policies, but to the extent that they need to be updated, I don't think it'd be a bad thing to debate whether we have the considerations there for today's world. But again, I'd hate to speak for the Department of Defense on this. As Commerce Secretary, am I worried about subsidies? Of course. We spend a lot of time on this. The Airbus case has been around for a long time. We focus on this every time we go to Europe, and we are great cheerleaders for our companies.
So have you weighed in on this? Have you talked to the Department of Defense and suggested it would be unwise to issue a contract like this to someone that we concluded that was illegal? And if not, why not?
I am not part of the Department of Defense's acquisition process.
Well, unfortunately, some senators were part of that acquisition process and stopped the United States government from taking into consideration this illegal subsidy. And as a result, we're going to lose tens of thousands of jobs of the Boeing company and all their subsidiaries in the United States of America. And when we have a senator over there stopping us from considering that, I would hope we'd have a counterweight somewhere in the administration to push back. And it's unfortunate that we didn't, because we're losing 10,000s of jobs at the same time we're subsidizing an illegally subsidized company. And that is just, I got to tell you, my constituents are so angry about this, not just the Boeing workers, but the fact that we would be chumps to allow this illegal subsidization. We have one cop on the beat blowing the whistle on them, and then we turn around and give them a $40 billion contract. And I got to tell you, that is not defensible anywhere in this country. And you know, there is a protest on this. I hope you might consider weighing in on an opinion in this regard, because something is really has an odor about this situation. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, the chair would recognize Mr. Whitfield for 5 minutes of question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, we appreciate your taking time to be with us this morning. As we are considering these free trade agreements,